Hi guys, Lee here from FPL Family, back with another deep dive video, and this time we're talking the Eagles, Crystal Palace. Now, I've been trying to make these deep dive videos somewhere between 10 or 15 minutes, trying to make it consumable for you guys. I think this video could be significantly smaller. Eagles fans, let us know how you feel about the upcoming season. I personally feel it's going to be a difficult season for you. Therefore, I don't know how much I'm going to tell you guys about their FPL assets other than maybe they are a bit of an avoid. There could be one or two little gems in there as the season unfolds, but the first thing I need to bring to your attention is the fixtures for Crystal Palace. Here are the first 10. You'll notice that in one of my previous videos when I talked about Everton, I didn't just look at the first 5 fixtures, I looked at the first 10. And Everton are right up there, so you can invest in one of their players. They've got obviously the new manager in Rafa Benitez, but they've got some good fixtures. Got the good fixtures to get Rafa off to a good start. Now, Crystal Palace coming into the new season, again with a new manager, Patrick Vieira. We're going to talk about him a bit more in a second. But I reversed the table. I thought, well, Everton at the top, who's at the bottom? And I'm afraid it's the Eagles. They have got some very, very difficult fixtures. Despite playing Brentford, which is actually at home to Brentford. Okay, it's blue here on the Fantasy Football Scout ticker. I would suggest that's a more difficult game than it looks. A London derby where both of those teams are going to want to assert their authority. And surely both teams will already be looking at that thinking, we want to get one over on what could be, I'm sorry to say it, Eagles fans, our relegation rivals come the end of the season, because that's where I think Palace are going to be. Brighton at home in game week 6, Newcastle at home in 9, so there is some blue in there, don't get me wrong, but there is a hell of a lot of red. Chelsea, West Ham, Spurs, Liverpool, Leicester, Arsenal, Manchester City. 10 of the more difficult fixtures, let's say, coming into the new season. So from a Crystal Palace FPL perspective, I don't think I'm going to be investing in game week 1, and I certainly won't be looking at any of them, I don't think, until game week 11, 12, unless somebody comes to the fore. And I'll talk about the players that I might be looking at a bit later in the season as we go through the video. So as I said at the top, I don't know if this is going to be a 10 or 15 minute video. This could be the shortest one we've done, guys, because Crystal Palace for me are a bit of an avoid. Let's talk about their manager, though. They've got a new manager, Patrick Vieira, coming into the Premier League. Obviously a massive Premier League name from Arsenal and Manchester City in the past. But let's have a look at Vieira's time at New York City. So here's where he's been. He's been in the MLS. He's been in the French League. Can he make it, or can he translate that experience into the Premier League with Crystal Palace? Time will tell, I think, guys. Time will tell. He was pretty good at New York City FC, so he had a very decent bunch of players there, some of the best in the league, and he played a pretty, from what I understand, a pretty attractive, pretty free-flowing type of football. He had the most wins, 39 out of 83, as you can see there. So I'm not going to go through each of those stats, but you can see that while he was at the MLS, he wasn't too bad. And I think even at Man City, I think they saw it a bit like this was Vieira's training ground a little bit, in terms of get yourself managerial up to speed so that you can replace Pep, because at the time Pep hadn't signed a new contract. But then just as Vieira was doing well at the MLS, Pep signed a new contract at Man City, which I think was 3 years, and that was maybe a year or two ago. And of course, Vieira was, I didn't say he was left out in the cold, but he was kind of looking for a new challenge. I think there was this expectation that he was going to come into City, maybe, as part of, if not the manager, part of the staff that would have replaced or been Pep's successor. But Pep wanted to stay on, has done the business there at Manchester City. So Vieira then went to Nice, and he played in Ligue 1 over in France, where actually, you know, from what I understand, and by the way, guys, do your own research here, but I've done a little bit of digging on Patrick Vieira, and he didn't have the sort of players that he had at New York City FC while he was at Nice. He didn't have the best players in the league, and therefore couldn't play that kind of attacking, expansive football that perhaps he was becoming a bit more known for at New York City, and the sort of football that could have got him on the radar back at Manchester City. So while he was at Nice, they kind of toiled. I wouldn't say necessarily there was any stats like this where he was top for wins or anything like that in his 2.5 years while he was in the MLS. But under Nice, while he was at Nice, they kind of did okay. He did a pretty good job with the resources at hand. And actually, that's probably a fair reflection of what I expect him to do at Crystal Palace. Maybe his experience in Ligue 1 with Nice is the most relevant, or maybe more relevant than his MLS experience coming into the Crystal Palace job. Doing a good job with the tools in hand. And maybe that's what he's got to get to at Crystal Palace. The other thing to discuss at Crystal Palace, obviously there's a lot of players there that are either out of contract or about to be out of contract. So it very much is a project. And I did spot something in the press about Vieira being up for the Crystal Palace project. So he understands that there's some building blocks to be put in there. He understands, and I think the Crystal Palace hierarchy understand that he's going to need to be given time. He's going to need to have to build a team again at Crystal Palace. A lot of players are going to be coming and going in that squad. He's got to be given the tools and the license and the time and the patience from the fans to do a good job with what he's given. And hopefully, from a Crystal Palace perspective, we don't have another De Boer situation where he was in for something like 4 or 5 games and then got sacked, right? So hopefully Vieira's given the time at the Crystal Palace project that I think he needs, and I think the Crystal Palace hierarchy know that he needs as well. So difficult fixtures, unknown quantity to a degree as a manager. There's 2 red flags from an FPL perspective already. But let's take a look at their players and see if any of them catch our eye. Now, Tyrick Mitchell is maybe one to keep an eye on. Obviously, Patrick Van Aanholt, some changes for him over the course of the summer. So actually, Mitchell coming in at 4.5. Likely, I think, to be the first choice recognised fullback there. So at 4.5 could be reasonable value as we go into the season. 58 points. So yeah, pretty good season last season. Obviously played quite a bit at the beginning of the season when PVA was injured. Didn't play quite so much when Crystal Palace had to go for games a little bit more towards the end of the season because it looked like they were in trouble. They had to go for games a bit more. PVA came in and Mitchell didn't get so much game time. But at 4.5 could come into our thinking, as could Gaeta. 124 points last season for a 4.5 keeper. He's okay. It's okay. I think they're better options at 4.5. And if you want to go and check out our Brighton video, I'll tell you why I think Sanchez is the best option in that price bracket. But Gaeta could get some interest later on in the season. Big red flag there against Eze, which is a real disappointment because we were just starting to see what this kid was made of, I think, at Crystal Palace. And at 6 million, could garner some interest towards the end of the season or when he starts to come back from injury. But obviously you're not going to go with him in game week 1 because not going to be fit even at 6 million. Zaha is going to be the one that pops up on people's radars. Now, I noticed that he was in 6.6% of teams as I was coming on to record this video. I don't know if that 6.6% of managers actually wanting him. I think that's more to do with the fact that actually the auto pick algorithm when you first log into FPL picks a bunch of 6, 7 and 8 midfielders, and I think Zaha just fits that bracket. So I'm not expecting his ownership to be higher than 6.6 come game week 1. If anything, I suspect it will probably be lower. But at 7 million, classified as a midfielder this season, could be okay. But again, I don't think I'm going to invest in him ahead of game week 1 and those really difficult fixtures. Benteke had a reasonable end to the season as well, although some cynics, and I'm one of them, would suggest that actually he was playing for the new contract at Crystal Palace. Played out of his skin and was kind of unplayable in a few games towards the end of the season. But at 6.5, again, you're in the Tony bracket. You're not too far away from the Ollie Watkins bracket. Again, I think there's going to be better options for you in that bracket. So all in all, guys, what are we at? Only about just over, coming up to 9 minutes long, this video. Already longer than I thought it was going to be because Crystal Palace for me in game week 1, I'm not feeling it. I'm really not, guys. So there we go. Sorry, Crystal Palace fans. If you disagree with me, or even if you're not a Crystal Palace fan and you are planning to get some Eagles in to your FPL team for game week 1, get in the comments below. I'd love to know who you're looking at. What have I missed? I might have missed something obvious here. Do you know about Patrick Vieira? What's his style been like in the MLS and in Liga 1? Have I missed something there? Is he actually a cracking manager? He's going to come in and revolutionise this side and build a squad that's going to challenge for the top half of the table. Eagles fans will be hoping it. I'm not expecting it. Until next time, guys, leave us a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new to FPL Family, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.